In my previous life, I ignored my husband's efforts plea for me to stay and resolutely signed the divorce agreement, then eloped with my childhood sweetheart. However, I was sold into the deep mountains and forests by my childhood sweetheart in cahoots with my best friend. Only then did I realize that it was all their conspiracy. My childhood sweetheart had been secretly in love with my best friend for a long time. Knowing that my best friend liked Zephyr, he spoke all sorts of ill of Zephyr in my ear. And I, believing those slanderous words, went crazy and courted disaster. After my divorce, my best friend approached Zephyr under my name and used all means to take my place. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day when I signed the divorce agreement with Zephyr. After you sign, I'll move out as soon as possible, Zephyr's cold and stern voice sounded. I stared blankly at the divorce agreement in front of me. I never expected that I would be reborn. Reborn at the time when I hadn't divorced Zephyr yet. In my previous life, I couldn't wait to sign and leave right away. The person I liked, Rook, and my best friend Sable were waiting for me at the door. I originally thought that what awaited me was sunshine, but unexpectedly it was hell. They joined hands and sold me into the deep mountains and forests. I couldn't lie and couldn't die either. The harsh words I said before leaving in my previous life were that if he wanted me to change my mind, it would be in the next life. Meeting Zephyr again was truly in the next life. My eyes filled with tears, and I threw myself into his arms. I don't want a divorce. I got to know Zephyr through the introduction of our parents. Without much of a courtship process, we got married in a flash. At that time, I had someone I liked, my childhood sweetheart. Since the matter was already a foregone conclusion, I was ready to give up and my the good life. But I learned from my best friend that Zephyr was ruthless and didn't care about his relatives. He even killed his own father and had a tendency to be violent. At first, I didn't believe it. Later, scars began to appear on Rook's body, which were inflicted by people sent by Zephyr. When I went to confirm it, Zephyr didn't refute and indeed admitted that he had gone to see Rook. Things got more and more serious, and Rook even lost a finger because of it. My best friend added fuel to the fire in my ear, portraying Zephyr as a criminal who seemed peaceful on the surface, but was ruthless in killing people behind the scenes. She said that the Zephyr family was rich and that Zephyr was a ruffian who could use money to solve even if he had a human life on his hands. I was terrified. Until I saw with my own eyes that Zephyr expression Leslie killed the dog he had raised for many years. Then I started to ask for a divorce. They were certain that Zephyr wouldn't explain, and the misunderstanding grew bigger and bigger. I cried even more sadly. Zephyr's body was stiff. It was me who wanted a divorce. And now it was also me crying and saying I didn't want a divorce. His hand gently stroked my back. Have you cried enough? If it were in my previous life, I would definitely have thought he was angry. Zephyr had no experience in matters of the heart, and this was already the most gentle words he could use to comfort someone. No. I hugged him tightly. Zephyr, let's have a baby. Not long after we got married, Zephyr had always wanted a child. Since I didn't want to, he never mentioned it again. Before this, I tore up the divorce agreement and started tearing at Zephyr's clothes. He was flustered and grabbed his belt, while his other hand touched my forehead. I'll call the doctor for you. I pulled and tugged regardless. His tall figure of over 1.8 meters was pinned down on the sofa by me and couldn't move. Just as I was about to touch him, he held his breath and stopped me. Serafina, I'm not Rook. I straddled him, held his face in my hands. His eyebrows and eyes were sharp and full of distance, but now they were dyed with a touch of pink, looking extremely good-looking. I know. You're Zephyr. If you don't faint, you're not a man. His eyebrows furrowed. He thought I was really crazy. After all, I was talking about divorce 1 second ago and was eager to have a baby the next second. I was indeed crazy. I provoked him further. Zephyr, are you impotent? Zephyr was sure that I hadn't mistaken him for someone else, and he took the initiative. We don't have that kind of thing at home. It's better to get pregnant in one try, I said. Not far from the Zephyr family's residence, Sable and Rook kept looking back. Why hasn't Serafina come out yet? They're urging us. She doesn't answer her phone either. Rook. You go and look for her in the Zephyr family's place. When Rook reached the door, he was stopped. He caught a glimpse of two intertwined figures on the second floor. He couldn't tell whether he was happy or sad. When Sable learned about it, she cursed loudly, "That bitch. Bitch." She was almost about to be made to live a life worse than death. Why does she get to marry Zephyr? I liked him first. Bitch. Bitch. When I woke up, I quickly looked around. It wasn't an illusion. I had really come back. I was wearing a fresh and comfortable nightgown. I caught sight of a glass of warm water and some medicine placed on the bedside table. Zephyr left me a message. It's not too late to regret now. Without thinking, I threw the medicine into the trash can and picked up my phone. It was full of calls and messages from Sable. Sable sinks in. What's wrong with you? Doesn't Zephyr want to divorce? Rook and I are waiting for you. No matter how late it is. Don't be afraid. We can definitely escape from this sea of bitterness today. Zephyr is a scoundrel and a murderer. Singsen? Why don't you reply to me? I'll come to find you. While Zephyr isn't here, let's run away quickly. I sneered. Sable and I grew up sharing everything. With more than 10 years of friendship, I thought I had been completely sincere to her. Yet she treated me like this. I won't let her have an easy time either in the future. I went downstairs for lunch and learned that Sable had been waiting at the door since early morning. But Zephyr didn't let her in. After slowly finishing my meal, it was already 3 in the afternoon. And then I asked someone to let Sable in. Zinks in. Did Zephyr bully you? Sable looked at the marks on my body and her eyes turned red with jealousy. Her fingers tightly pinched my wrist. Don't be afraid. Rook is at the door. We'll leave right away and fly far away. Zephyr won't be able to find you. As she said this, she pulled me and tried to take me outside. I shook off her hand. I don't want a divorce anymore. Why don't you want a divorce? Are you so cheap that you like Zephyr just because he slept with you? Sable's voice was shrill. Serafina, don't you want Rook anymore? Rook waited for you all night yesterday. If it were before, I might have felt sorry for him. Now I wish I could tear them into pieces. I slapped her. Watch your mouth. Zephyr is my husband, with whom I have a marriage certificate. It's perfectly natural for us to have a married life. Not only that, I'm also planning to have a baby. Sable's expression cracked. You're just being mean. You have Stockholm Syndrome. He bullied you like that, and you still want to have a baby with him? I'll wake you up now. As she said this, she raised her hand and tried to slap me with all her might to avenge the previous slap. I took a step back, and Sable stumbled and almost fell. Her eyes were fixed on behind me. Don't you love Rook anymore? You and Rook are a match made in heaven. Everyone knows how much you like Rook. Sensing the interest in her eyes, I was sure there was someone behind me. Before I got married, I did like Rook. But now that I'm married, the person I like is my husband. Zephyr. We've had some conflict recently. Well, we were a married couple. Couples often make up after quarrels. We'll make up after sleeping together a few more times. Seeing that I was about to continue speaking, a soft cough from behind interrupted me. I smiled and turned around. Sure enough, it was Zephyr. I trotted over and threw myself at him. Honey. You're back. Zephyr caught me. I'm back to get some documents. Sable stared at him obsessively and even took out a mirror to touch up her lipstick. Zephyr. I didn't mind making Sable feel even worse. I kissed Zephyr heavily and drew circles on his chest with my fingers. Honey. I miss you so much. Do you miss me? Zephyr's ears turned red visibly. And he replied in a low voice. Sable gritted her molars. She could barely hold back from cursing and left in a hurry with her head down. A sense of satisfaction flashed through my heart. Zephyr let go of me. Did you take the medicine? He clearly cared a great deal but still tried to pretend not to care. I replied. No. When are you going back to the company? Zephyr's eyebrows and eyes relaxed. In half an hour. Is there something wrong? Yes. Let's hurry up and have a baby. I nodded seriously. The probability of getting pregnant is much higher when I'm on top. Half an hour is just enough for one time. His expression froze. And he was stunned for a while. I was quick with my hands and feet. I pushed him to sit on the sofa. Don't be afraid. I'll be gentle. Zephyr was in a dilemma. You. A ringtone interrupted. It was a call from Rook. Zephyr's face fell. I turned on the speakerphone. The other party seemed very nervous. Sinks in. Are you okay? Sable said you don't want a divorce. Don't you want me anymore? Have you forgotten that night of ours and our vows? I love you. Sinks in. Zephyr pushed me away and tittied his clothes. There are still things to deal with at the company. Yes, let out a lull sigh. Not only will I not get a divorce, but I also want to have a baby with my husband Zephyr. Bye. After saying that, I added him to the blacklist. He had already left, and I didn't know if he had heard it or not. I opened my phone to book a restaurant to have a romantic time with Zephyr. A candlelit dinner. I left Sable and Rook behind. It was almost time to get off work. I went to the garage to choose a car. I was a bit flustered since I hadn't driven for a lifetime. Finally, having fulfilled my desire, I chose a Mini Cooper. I successfully picked up Zephyr and went to the restaurant. Sable and Rook seemed to be like lingering ghosts. They entered the restaurant almost one after the other. What a coincidence. Sable greeted. I nodded as a greeting. I had reserved a private room. Surely they wouldn't be so shameless as to follow us in. Unfortunately, having fulfilled, I still underestimated their audacity. When they heard the waiters say they had to wait, they proposed to dine together. What made me even more puzzled was that Zephyr took the initiative to invite them to join us. He clearly didn't like Rook. When we entered the private room, they sat down first. I pulled Zephyr to sit farther away. Honey. Sit here. Sable's smile froze. When did your relationship become so good? Zephyr. You have to keep an eye on Xingxin, or you won't know when she flies away one day. Seeing this, Rook directly sat beside me, blinking and pretending to be pitiful as if he was accusing me of being too intimate with Zephyr. Sable sat beside Zephyr and stared at him obsessively. Zephyr. Xingxin has a bad temper. If there's any problem, feel free to contact me. I'll teach her a lesson for you. I was so angry that I laughed. They were really targeting us, weren't they? Zephyr said. According to what Serafina said, couples make up after quarrels. There's no need for you to worry. He was quite quick-witted. I scratched his side waist, and the muscles there tensed up instantly. My hand was caught by him. While waiting for the food, Rook sent me a message, asking me to go out and wait for him at the door. He got up first. Zephyr seemed to know the news too and let go of my hand. Honey. I'm going to the restroom. I stood up. I borrowed a mop from the cleaning auntie in the restroom. Not long after, Rook appeared affectionately. Xingxin. I miss you so much. Did that hypocrite Zephyr bully you? I had a cold expression. Without saying a word, I poked his face with the mop. Ha! You scumbag. It's not enough that you speak ill of my husband, and you even deliberately tried to seduce a married woman. He stepped back unexpectedly. But he wasn't as fast as my hand. The mop went straight for his face. Ugh, Rook showed a ferocious expression. Do you want to die? This is exactly how you should deal with a scumbag. I retorted back at him. Somebody. There's a pervert in the women's restroom. This was just child's play. In my past life, I was beaten every day. Each time I tried to escape, I would be greeted with even more severe beatings. With no way to survive, I could only seek death. I attempted to starve myself to death. When those people found out, they force-fed me chicken feed and pig feces. Compared to that kind of unforgettable humiliation, what was this? My shouts attracted people. The onlookers yelled, "Call the security guard quickly." Rook decided to go all out. Honey. I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Okay? I'll never stop you from being affectionate with other men again. As he spoke, his eyes turned fierce. He stepped forward, grabbed my neck, and kissed me. So it's the woman who's having an affair. It's really disgusting. The people around were discussing. Zephyr burst in and punched Rook, his face turning terrifyingly dark. Sable pretended to be sympathetic and said, Xingxin, even if you don't like Zephyr anymore, you can't find mistresses outside. There are so many of them. Break up with all of them. They're not as easy to talk to as Rook and Zephyr. As soon as she said this, the discussions among the people around became even louder. I rushed to the sink to wash my face, almost scrubbing the skin off my cheeks and neck. I dodged a bit, and Rook's lips brushed against my cheek. A feeling of nausea welled up from my stomach. Rook was still shouting, "Zinksin, I'll take you away from this man. That day, we'll make the deed done. And I'll protect you and our child." I was so angry that I was trembling. I suddenly turned my head and looked at Zephyr. His expression was one of disbelief, and he stared at me intently. There was suppressed emotion in his eyes. So, these past few days, when I did those things with Hen and proposed having a child, it was because of Rook. Sable tried her best to cover her mouth, almost unable to hold back her laughter. "No wonder you asked Rook to go to the Zephyr family to find you that night. I remember that day. Zephyr was on a business trip. Everyone was in an uproar and began to spurn me." "That's nonsense. It's all made up. I didn't do that." "Just by moving your lips, you can fabricate a rumor. Are you sure that thing happened that day?" I calmed down. "Rook insisted that he had an affair with me." "Yes, has a show. That night. You opened the door for me with your own hands. There should be surveillance in the Zephyr family. If you don't believe it, go and check. You also have a red mole on the inner side of your thigh." With these detailed proofs, Zephyr also knew about this. The veins on his forehead popped out, and he seemed to have accepted the reality. That day, Rook did come to find me, saying that Sable had asked him to bring something over. As for the details, Sable must have told him. I took out my phone and called the police. "I want to report a case. Someone drugged and raped me." "He's very certain about it. And I have no memory of that period at all." "Yes. I'm at Hua Ting restaurant. In the restroom on the 4th floor. Please come quickly." Sable panicked. She knew that this matter was false and was just to smear me. "Zinksin. This kind of private matter should be solved privately between you. Why did you involve the police?" "Rook drugged and raped me. He's a rapist. Why can't I call the police?" I pulled over a trash bin and blocked the door to prevent them from leaving. The police took all 4 of us back to the police station to take statements. "Officer, this is what he said at that time. He's very certain about this matter. And I have no memory of this period at all." I handed over my phone. "I suspect that Rook drugged and raped me." Fortunately, Helling fulfilledly, I was careful. The police took Rook in for interrogation, and I curled up and sat on the chair. I don't blame Zephyr for not believing me. In my past life, I did resist him a lot. When he prepared gifts for me, I wanted a divorce at that time. I clearly said that I didn't like him and only liked Truck, and I compared the two of them. I belittled Zephyr to nothing and caused a lot of trouble. With such a sudden change in attitude, anyone would be suspicious. Zephyr was far away from me, with his head lowered, not knowing what he was thinking. I said, "Zephyr, I didn't do that kind of thing with him." Whether he believed me or not, when the result came out, it would prove my innocence. It wasn't until dawn the next day that Rook confessed and admitted that everything was fabricated by him. I woke up groggily, and there was a suit jacket draped over my shoulders, which belonged to Zephyr. The matter was over. Because the scope of the impact wasn't large. Rook was detained for 10 days and fined 500 yuan. When I got home, I plunged into my room. What happened yesterday had almost drained all my energy. The estrangement between me and Zephyr seemed to have lessened a bit, but also seemed to have deepened a bit. He often worked overtime, and he would come back only after I had fallen asleep. When he went to work, I hadn't woken up yet. This went on for a month. I couldn't stand it anymore and went to bring Zephyr lunch. When I got downstairs of the Zephyr family company, I didn't know which floor his office was on. I sent him a message and waited downstairs. "Zinksin, are you here to apologize to Rook?" Sable came over. I had actually forgotten about her. At the beginning, she begged me to let her work in the Zephyr family company, just wanting a resume for an internship in a big company. But she was really something. She rose up all the way by using Zephyr's name. Sable said, "I knew it. That thing that happened that day was just an accident. You still have feelings for Rook in your heart." I rolled my eyes. "Sable, Stop pretending. In fact, it was you who gave Rook the idea. Right? You've liked Zephyr for a long time. Haven't you? Too bad. The person he likes is me. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Sable tried to hold on. Her hand was almost digging a hole in the document. I sneered and didn't bother to argue with her. Sable, give up on this idea. If I whisper in Zephyr's ear, do you think he'll fire you? This sentence really hit Sable's nerve. Her face turned pale. She turned around and said something to the receptionist. The receptionist glanced at me and then lowered her head to make a phone call. Soon, let out a low sigh. Two security guards came in at the door. Miss, please leave. I snorted with a sarcastic laugh. As soon as she got a little bit of power, she tried her best to make things difficult for others. I looked at the time. The lunch break was almost over. And Zephyr still hadn't replied to me. I put the things at the reception desk and sent him a message. Then I turned around and left. The next day, I did the same thing. Zephyr was a very busy person. I put down the things, took a photo, and was about to leave. The receptionist said, I'm sorry, Mrs. Zephyr. President Zephyr is on the 23rd floor. Sable has already been fired. You can give it to him. I have other things to do. I waved my hand. My period didn't come this month, so I went to the hospital for a checkup on the way. On the third day, I planned to put down the things and leave to get the report from the hospital. Serafina. Zephyr was actually waiting at the door for me. Shall we go up and have a meal together? No. I'm going to the hospital. I refused. Are you sick? Let's go together. He frowned and took my hand. His nervous look didn't seem to be fake. I said it's possible. My period didn't come. I might be pregnant. I shrugged and told the truth. His eyes suddenly widened. And he stared at my belly. Let's go together. You're pregnant. Do you want to keep the baby or not? When the doctor said this, Zephyr looked at me, and his breathing became lighter. I said, yes, hunting fulfilled my obsession. Definitely. Okay. First, I'll prescribe some folic acid for you and Zephyr listened more attentively than anyone else. If he had a notebook in his hand, he might write it down in his little notebook. On the way home from the hospital, he was silent all the way. But I could see that because of his excitement. His posture was tense. Even though he was driving at a speed of 40 miles per hour, he was still happy. I said, let's go to your mom's place tomorrow. Although my father-in-law has many children, my mother-in-law is kind-hearted and thinks that all children are innocent. She insisted on bringing those illegitimate children back and raising them. But my mother-in-law only has Zephyr as her child and has always wanted a grandson. At first, she even urged us. Since I told Zephyr that I didn't want to have a baby, I don't know what he said to my mother-in-law. But the way my mother-in-law looks at me is full of love and pity. Going back with this good news this time, she will definitely be very happy. Okay. He nodded solemnly. We arrived at the old house of the Zephyr family. Good child. Good child. My mother-in-law beamed with joy. I thought I would never have a grandson in this lifetime. My mother-in-law pulled me into the room and secretly handed me a box. You have no idea. When Zephyr told me that he had as the no spermiae, my world turned dark. It's all thanks to you. Thanks in. For being so promising. I was surprised. Zephyr didn't have this disease at all. Then I realized that my heart suddenly softened. After lunch, I found Zephyr, who was writing vigorously in the study, and sat in his arms. Thank you, Zephyr. I thanked him and also sincerely apologized. I shouldn't have listened to their nonsense and distanced myself from you. From the very beginning, I wanted to live a good life with you. Sable kept saying in my ear how bad you were. She even said that you had someone cut off Rook's finger. When I went to you to verify it, you were holding a knife and killing a dog. You were covered in blood. And I was scared, so I wanted a divorce. Zephyr pondered for a moment. I did have someone beat up Rook. Zhao King is old. I was making a specimen. Do you want to see it? Zhao King was that dog. According to my mother-in-law, it had accompanied Zephyr for 15 years. Now that the misunderstanding was cleared up, I felt ashamed. I lowered my head and buried it in his neck. I'm sorry. After we got home from the Zephyr family, Zephyr no longer avoided me. He got off work on time every day. I still went to bring him lunch every day. After we came back from the Zephyr family, we were taking a walk in the community. A fierce shout came from behind. Serafina! Go to hell! A burly man was holding a watermelon knife that glinted coldly and swung it at me. I fell to the ground, and my broken hair was floating in the air. The thug continued to wave the knife. Serafina! This day next year will be your death anniversary. I quickly got up and ran for my life. Like a headless chicken. In the end, I didn't know where I had run to. The thug kept chasing me, always staying 3 or 4 meters away from me, as if he was teasing me, until I bumped into an old man and fell to the ground. My knees and palms were scraped and bleeding. I pushed the old man. Go. My throat seemed to be stuck with glue, and I couldn't make a sound. You're blind. The old man pushed me away. I tried to explain. When I looked back, there was no one behind me. The life and death chase just now seemed like an illusion. Apologize. Or I'll call the police, the old man kept chattering. After I dazedly apologized. I stood there in a daze. Was it a dream? Or was I crazy? I told Zephyr about this and went to check the surveillance. Coincidentally, the surveillance was under repair, and there was nothing recorded. We couldn't find any clues after the investigation. Tomorrow, you come to the company with me. Zephyr comforted me. I was frightened during the day. And at night, I tossed and turned and finally managed to fall asleep. Suddenly, there was a shout. Earthquake! I woke up with a start. Zephyr picked me up and ran downstairs. Then I realized that it was someone playing a prank. I touched my belly. Being frightened and doing strenuous exercise in the early stages of pregnancy might lead to threatened abortion. My pregnancy was the most unfavorable thing for Sable. She must have known about it. Except for her. No one else could have come up with such a vicious method. Zephyr kissed the top of my head. Don't be afraid. I'm here. After confirming that it was a prank, we found a large loudspeaker under the window of the master bedroom. The volume was turned up to the maximum. That sentence was set to play automatically at a fixed time. Zephyr sent someone to investigate. But I stopped him. Even if there is conclusive evidence, they will only be detained for a few days and find a little money. This cost is too light for Sable and Rook. It was almost dawn after all the commotion. Zephyr directly drove me to the Zephyr family mansion. Encountering the morning rush hour, I dozed off in the passenger seat. A strong pushing force came suddenly, followed by a series of crashing sounds. I woke up again in a start, and my heart rate suddenly accelerated. I grabbed Zephyr's arm. My stomach hurts. We rushed to the hospital in a hurry. Fortunately, there was nothing serious, having fulfilled my obsession. And I just needed to rest well. Zephyr frowned. The other party is fully responsible for the rear-end collision, and is very willing to cooperate with the compensation. There was something strange about this matter. It seemed that they had a clear purpose and deliberately targeted us to crash into us. Sinks in. Are you okay? I brought you some chicken soup. Hurry up and replenish your body. The baby is only 1 month old. And you've really suffered. Sable said as she walked in carrying a lunchbox. Her voice was shrill and filled with schadenfreude. She was wearing a tight red dress, which didn't look like she was coming to visit me at all, but rather like she was celebrating something. This is a free-range chicken from the countryside. I also added saffron to it, which is good for a woman's body. The soup in the lunchbox was a bright yellow color, and its smell was mixed with the odor of medicine. Seeing that I didn't move, Sable said, "If you don't trust me, you can ask the doctor." As she spoke, she brought it over and asked me to drink it, with intense excitement surging in her eyes. I knocked over the chicken soup. How did you know I was pregnant? I showed my disgust openly. Why was she still pretending to have a deep sisterly bond? It was really disgusting. Sable said, "Sinks in. What are you doing?" "I'm just being kind and trying to help you replenish your body." Just then, the doctor came to make the rounds. "Saffron? Your pregnancy was already a bit unstable. And you still want to drink this? Don't you want the baby anymore?" I said with a cold face. "So this is what you call replenishing the body? You're trying to kill my baby." The people in the community the other day were also arranged by you, weren't they? I knew she wouldn't admit it even if I said so. I picked up the lunchbox and poured it over her head. A sense of satisfaction rushed through my heart. Sable let out a scream. And her eyes were bloodshot. Bitch. Zephyr protected me behind him. Be careful. This scene stimulated her nerves. Zephyr. I liked you first. Why can't you just take a look at me? You and I are a match made in heaven. Serafina is just a brainless fool who can be easily deceived by others. Zephyr frowned and cursed. Crazy woman. Zephyr. Why are you scolding me like this? I love you so much. Sable asked frantically. I've carefully preserved everything you gave me. Look. I carry your underwear with me every day. I stepped back in disgust. This was clearly Zephyr's private item. How could it be in her hands? Since I got married, Sable often wandered around the Zephyr family mansion under the pretext of coming to see me. It turned out that she stole it at that time. Zephyr's face turned green. As if he had eaten a fly. Serafina. I didn't know about this. Sable said. I've also carefully preserved the toothbrush and toothpaste you used. I love you. And all these things can prove it. It's all your fault. You bitch. Why don't you just die? You already have Rook. So why are you trying to hinder my love for Zephyr? She was simply a crazy woman. The doctor called the security guards and had her thrown out. Before leaving, Sable shouted in a sorry state, Zephyr. Divorce Serafina. Or you'll regret it one day. Sable's parents learned about this matter. And Sable was grounded at home. Sable's parents invited us to have a meal, saying that they didn't educate their daughter well. And this meal was an apology. The parents of our two families had known each other for more than 20 years. We should go to this dinner. When we arrived at the appointed place, Sable's parents looked as if they had aged more than 10 years. They hunched over and toasted us. He said, I'm sorry. President Zephyr. We failed to raise our daughter properly. We will send her abroad later. And she will definitely not affect you anymore. Sable's mother nodded, yes. Sinks in, then Ektamai. This is a gift for you. And there is also a share for the baby. You're too kind. Mrs. Sable. I said politely, and didn't accept the gift. If I hadn't woken up in time, I might have already been in the deep mountains and forests, with no one to turn to for help, repeating that painful and suffocating life. Forgiving Sable is impossible in this lifetime. I accepted this invitation just to give both sets of parents some face. Sable's mother sighed, sinks in. The friendship between you and Sable that has lasted for more than 10 years. Is it really going to end like this? If Sable had had even a shred of conscience, she wouldn't have sold me. In these more than 10 years, she didn't even consider me as a human being, let alone a friend. Sinks in. Mrs. Sable and your mother have known each other for so long. Give Mrs. Sable some face. Your baby is fine. And President's effort didn't have anything with Sable. Just let it go. Mrs. Sable said. I remembered that the Sable family's company was just a small ant in front of the Zephyr family. They were probably afraid of offending Zephyr. I'm afraid that in my previous life, when I was sold, they were also in the know. But at that time, I had already divorced Zephyr, so they weren't afraid. My stomach churned. I'm going to the restroom. I are etched into the toilet. And tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. When I wanted to go out, I found that the door couldn't be opened. I shouted, help. There's a fire. Save me. Stop shouting. Today, this restaurant is fully booked by the Sable family. It was Rook's voice. My heart suddenly tightened. Why are you here? He continued. Sable likes Zephyr very much. Sable's parents also like Zephyr very much. As long as they can get a connection with him, they will be extremely happy. Guess why I'm here? A huge sense of panic enveloped me. To establish a connection, they could only do it when Zephyr was in an unconscious state. They were going to drug Zephyr and let Sable be with him. I forced myself to calm down. Rook. Are you really willing to watch the person you like be with another man? Rook liked Sable very much and would almost do anything she asked. Sable wanted to break up Zephyr and me. And he was even willing to deceive me into getting a divorce to make Sable's wish come true. But I didn't believe that he didn't have the slightest wavering in his heart. Rook seemed to think that the matter was a foregone conclusion, and had the leisure to chat with me for a few words. What if I'm not willing? As long as Sable is happy. I'm willing to do it. But I don't understand what's so good about Zephyr that Sable likes him so much. I said. Sable probably doesn't really like Zephyr. It's just an obsession. If you can make her let go of this obsession, you'll have a chance to be with her. There was a moment of silence outside the door. Tell me more. Let me out. I stated my condition. Let's talk after you've thought it through. As I spoke, I took out my phone and sent a message to Zephyr's assistant. I looked around and realized that it was impossible to climb out from the top. I rummaged through my bag and found the stun gun that Zephyr had given me. I urged, time waits for no one. If Sable succeeds, you'll never have a chance. The door opened a crack. I squeezed out and poked him hard. He immediately fell to the ground and didn't get up. I ran back to the private room and happened to see Zephyr's assistant helping him out. Zephyr was delirious and his pants were gone. We looked at each other and said in unison, go to the hospital. Doctor. Is he okay? I asked. The doctor waved his hand, it's okay. He just needs to have an IV drip and he'll be fine. I looked at Zephyr on the hospital bed with love dearly. He really suffered an unwarranted disaster. I should have thought earlier that since Sable could do those things, the source of all this trouble wasn't a good person either. I stayed by the bedside and watched over him all night. When I woke up the next day, Zephyr was gone. When his assistant saw that I had woken up, he said, Madam, President Zephyr said that he's sorry for you. If you want a divorce, all the property under his name will be yours. I laughed out of anger. What could have happened in that short time? At most, he was seen naked. I called Zephyr. But he didn't answer. I rubbed my temples, forget it. Take me home first. I was worried all day. As soon as I lay down on the bed, I fell into a deep sleep. During that time, I always felt that there was someone staring at me. But when I woke up, I didn't see anyone. I called Zephyr again. And the phone kept ringing but no one answered. On the news push page, a piece of news popped up, the Sable family owes wages and has caused a death. The eldest daughter of the Sable family is shamelessly trying to seduce the president of the Zephyr family. The second one was, Sable and Rook are human traffickers. And the topic was trending. It was worth it for me to spend a lot of money and try my best to find out the clues about the time when they sold me. There was a lot of discussion on the internet. Everyone was scolding them. Damn it. Human traffickers should die. The elders earn dirty money. And the younger ones are human traffickers. This is really something. The police took swift action and had already intervened in the investigation. The Zephyr family also added fuel to the fire and made the matter even bigger. The Sable family hypocritically called me to apologize. Without even looking at the call, I directly blocked them. Zephyr was avoiding me. I hadn't seen him for a month. Instead, a lawyer contacted me and said that if I needed a divorce, I could directly contact him. I went to his company to confront him, but it was all in vain. He didn't reply to my messages or answer my calls. So I took a drastic measure and directly left Zephyr's information when making an appointment for an induced abortion. I held my phone and quietly waited for his call. After an hour, I received his call. We were both silent and didn't say a word. Eventually, I couldn't hold back. Zephyr, do you want a divorce? Tears streamed down my face. Clearly, having fulfilledly. The matter had already passed. And we should both be fine. Why did he want a divorce? I cheated. His voice was hoarse on the other end. And he was also troubled by this matter. I laughed and cried at the same time. What kind of cheating is this? You were just seen naked. That's all. She touched me. I resisted. But she still touched me. Zephyr said somewhat desperately. I'm sorry for you. I could tell that Zephyr was drunk. He wouldn't say such things when he was sober. Where are you? I'll come and pick you up and take you home. He mumbled to himself. Go home? Go back to the home with Serafina? I smiled. And my heart suddenly softened. I asked for the address and rushed there in a hurry. Zephyr was drunk and lying on the sofa with blurred eyes. The call hadn't been ring off yet. And he was holding the phone and talking incoherently. It was difficult to get him home. I stared at him for a while and said, "Drunk Zephyr is quite cute." Zephyr grabbed my pants. "Let's have the baby. Okay? I'll raise it. You don't have to do anything. I have nothing left. My wife is gone. And the baby is gone too." As he spoke, he sobbed softly and tugged at my pants leg. "Okay? Let's have the baby." I also lay down and hugged him tightly. "We won't get a divorce. And we will have the baby. You didn't cheat. It's all Sable's fault." Zephyr curled up and squeezed into my arms. He looked so pitiful. And I felt so sorry for him. I took a photo as a souvenir. Suddenly, I looked up and saw that there was nothing on the headboard. When I was forced to get married, it was in such a hurry that we didn't even have a wedding photo. Not to mention a wedding. "Zephyr, how about we have a wedding?" He had already fallen into a deep sleep and couldn't give me an answer, but it was tantamount to his acquiescence. I was so excited that I couldn't fall asleep and started making plans. The next morning, I hadn't fallen asleep yet. Zephyr seemed to be waking up. After a while, our eyes met, and his body visibly stiffened. When I realized in what position he was sleeping with me, my ears instantly turned completely red. I said, "Zephyr, how about we have a wedding? I've already thought it through. It'll be a French-style wedding on a big grassland." "Okay." Zephyr silently stretched his body. And this time, it was his turn to embrace me in his arms like a real man. Seeing his embarrassed look, he probably didn't lose his memory from last night. I repeated, "What happened that day wasn't your fault. So stop avoiding me." He nodded. I then continued, "Zephyr, I love you. Would you like to have a wedding with me?" Zephyr kissed my lips and said, "I do." Serafina. The preparations for the wedding were in full swing. In the blink of an eye, the wedding day arrived. A short video about our love that I made was being played on the screen. Most of the clips were candid shots I took, showing Zephyr at work and while cooking. Just as the video was about to end, an unexpected scene was inserted. On the screen, Sable was straddling Zephyr's abdomen. This scene was repeatedly replayed. I rushed over and unplugged the power source. Then, having fulfilled my obsession, the 3 members of Sable's family appeared. My mother-in-law frowned and asked, "What's going on here?" Sable's mother smiled and said, "Our Sable is pregnant with Zephyr's child, and we're here today to seek an explanation." "Mrs. Zephyr, you're kind-hearted. We don't ask for much. We just want the child to be recognized by the family and give us a way out." I was puzzled. Why weren't they arrested? Rook wasn't here. Could this fool have taken all the blame by himself? My mother-in-law looked at me. It's well known that my mother-in-law is kind-hearted. She's probably the only one who would take in illegitimate children and let them live at home. Judging from this, she was wavering. My heart sank. They were really like the persistent cockroach that just wouldn't die. "Are you sure the child is mine?" Zephyr said coldly. Sable said affectionately, "Zephyr, my parents were both present that day, and they can prove that the child is yours." Sable's parents nodded and said, "Yes, yesing so silb my say. We saw it with our own eyes." The guests were in an uproar, and most of them spurned the Sable family. How could such a thing be witnessed with one's own eyes? The scene on the screen just now is the evidence. Sable touched her belly. The child in my belly is the grandson of the Zephyr family. I gritted my teeth, wishing I could tear Sable apart. She was trying to ruin Zephyr and this wedding. Zephyr patted my shoulder. He called out from a distance, "Come out." It was Rook. At this moment, he had a scruffy beard and looked like he had accepted his fate. Sable's expression froze. "Why are you here? You should be in prison. Why are you here?" Rook said, "The child is mine." They didn't succeed. It was me who had a relationship with Sable. Sable covered her ears. "You're talking nonsense. This child is clearly Zephyr's. This is Zephyr's child." Rook stepped forward, grabbed her collar, and shouted, "Sable, wake up. It was me that day. It was me, it was me. Rook. Not Zephyr." Sable stood there stunned, as if all her spirit had been drained away. She lowered her head, then, suddenly raised it and shouted, "This is Zephyr's child. In a fit of madness, she took out a knife and stabbed at Rook. Rook took a few steps back and said in disbelief, "Sable, why don't you love me? If I can't have your heart, I'll have your person. Let's die together." Before anyone could stop them, the knife appeared in Sable's abdomen. The two of them fell to the ground together, awaiting death. The incident happened so suddenly that the wedding couldn't continue, without someone to take the blame. Sable's parents were bound to face imprisonment. Sable and Rook were cremated together, which could be considered the end of it. Everything was finally settled. The following year, Zephyr and I had a lovely baby girl. Although the wedding was ruined, we took a lot of beautiful wedding photos and hung them above our bed. The end. I had taken care of my paralyzed husband for 20 years. During the fire, he left me behind and ran out of the burning house. Looking at my husband whose lights were unharmed, I closed my eyes in despair. When I opened my eyes again, my husband held my hand with tears of gratitude. "I owe it all to you these years. Otherwise, I would have been gone long ago." I patted my husband's hand. "Don't worry. In this life, I'll send you away earlier." At 4 o'clock in the morning, my alarm clock rang on time. I woke up with a start and gasped for breath. Still in a state of shock, I heard a voice. "What's wrong?" "Your legs." I almost blurted it out. My husband sighed. "It's all my fault for dragging you down. Thank you for giving me a massage every night, but I still have no feeling at all." At this moment, he was full of guilt. It was in sharp contrast to the way he ran away and left me behind during the fire in the previous life. My gaze fell on my paralyzed husband. Those legs were clearly fine. I was reborn. Driven by anger, I jumped up and landed heavily on his knee menexus as I leapt over. With my weight of nearly 200 pounds, I put all my weight on his knees. My husband, who didn't react in time, let out an "oh," and even lifted his leg a bit. Simon probably didn't expect me to be so careless. And his face was already flushed. "Honey, it seemed like your leg moved just now." Veins popped out on Simon's forehead. Enduring the pain, he said, "How is that possible? You must have seen it wrong." I turned my back and gritted my teeth in hatred. "Why didn't I crush you to death? You son of a bitch." This was the 20th year that Simon had been pretending to be paralyzed. It was also the 300th day that I had been taking care of him as usual for 20 years. Bathing him, feeding him, and insisting on giving him a massage every night. Not only that, during the day I also had to run a rice noodle and fried skewer shop. I was busy from 4 in the morning until 10 at night when I got home. And I only slept 4 or 5 hours a day. I worked hard without complaining. Scenes from the previous life made me look like a fool. Like a joke. I had been played for a fool by them all my life. Before I went out, my mother-in-law stuffed a carton of milk into my hand. "Remember to have breakfast no matter how busy you are." In the previous life, I was willing to give because of these sweet words. But now I know better than anyone that underneath the sugar-coated bullets of this mother and son lies a heart more vicious than anyone else's. I showed no emotion and went out alone as usual. The rice noodle shop was somewhat well known in our local area. Although it was a small shop, the daily turnover was several thousand yuan. After deducting various expenses, I could earn more than 30,000 yuan a month. All the money I earned went into my mother-in-law's pocket. Even at the beginning, in order to save costs, only one person was hired to help in the shop. I took on most of the work and did everything myself. The first thing I did when I arrived at the shop was to replace the payment QR code of my mother-in-law. If I replaced all of them directly, I was afraid of alerting the enemy. After a busy day, I transferred the money I received to Aunt who helped in the shop. Aunt's son was recently ill and hospitalized. I had to win her over because, after all, in the previous life, she was the spy my mother-in-law planted by my side. I went back home. There was no sound inside. I opened the door gently, and as expected, the house was empty. Simon was not in the bedroom bed. And my mother-in-law, who always said she had a headache and didn't want to go out on weekdays, was also gone. I took out the hidden camera and installed it in an inconspicuous place in the house. I secretly turned on the gas and then left. An hour later, The fire engine appeared downstairs in my house. My mother-in-law and Simon had to rush home. One of them came from UXIU community, and the other came back from the square. When I got home at night and looked at the kitchen that was almost burned, Simon looked at his mother angrily. "How could you forget to turn off the gas?" My mother-in-law quibbled. I clearly remember turning it off. "If it wasn't you, could it be me?" Simon was in a fit of anger and spoke to his mother in a very harsh tone. My mother-in-law argued again. "Why couldn't it be you?" Halfway through her words, she immediately stopped and looked at me. I pretended to be cleaning up and didn't hear it. Simon even shouted at his mother. "I think you're getting senile. You've got Alzheimer's." I took a shower and was about to go to the next room to rest. Simon asked me why I wasn't giving him a massage today. In the previous life, I gave him a massage for rehabilitation every day. Each massage lasted for more than an hour. Over time, even the joints of my fingers became red, swollen, and thick. But Simon got used to enjoying the massage while playing with his phone day after day. At the end, he would say, "You've worked hard." And I would foolishly think that everything was worth it. I took out an authoritative article. I read an article today that said if the massage technique is wrong, it can even cause irreversible damage to you. How about I send you to a rehabilitation center for professional rehabilitation? Simon immediately shook his head. No. No. Why go to a rehabilitation center? I won't have the massage anymore in the future. Naturally, he wouldn't agree. How could he be willing to be trapped in a rehabilitation center? The next day, I secretly took away my mother-in-law's key. Watching the mother and son standing at the door looking for a locksmith to open the door on the monitor, I also rushed home. Through the monitor, I saw that when I knocked on the door, Simon got into the quilt directly without even changing his clothes, for fear that I would find out he had just come back from outside. "Mom, why is the lock broken?" "I lost my key," my mother-in-law replied in a low voice with her head down. "Why didn't you call me? I could have come back and brought it to you." You're so busy. I thought I wouldn't bother you." There was still an obvious look of panic on my mother-in-law's face. I went into the room and saw Simon's face was flushed. "Simon, why is your face so red? Are you running a fever?" Simon said in a hurry. "No. I'm fine." As I said that, I went to lift Simon's quilt. "Let me feel. Are you wearing too many clothes? Why are you covering the quilt so high?" As soon as my hand fell, Simon hurriedly grabbed the quilt. "I'm not hot. I'm even a little cold." "Cold? Then you're definitely running a fever. Let me have a look." "No. Really no need. Come on. Let me see." "Ava." During the argument, my mother-in-law behind me suddenly said anxiously, "What's wrong, Mom?" My mother-in-law and Simon looked at each other. And then she blurted out, "Simon. He soiled his pants." I tried hard to hold back my laughter. So what if he soiled his pants? It's not like I haven't seen it before. In the previous life, Simon even deliberately soiled the bed and made me clean it up for him. He and his mother made fun of me the next day for this kind of thing. His mother even said that she would also pretend to be paralyzed in the future and make me take care of her basic needs. My mother-in-law behind me stopped me and pulled me away. "Ava, you've been working hard all day. I'll clean it up for him. You go and rest." I couldn't refuse her kind offer. I directly turned around and went to the next room. On the monitor, Simon got out of the quilt, sweating profusely, and accused his mother. "How could you lose the key? I think you're really getting senile. You forgot to turn off the gas last time. And you lost the key today. You almost got me discovered by her. It's all because you go out to find that slut every day. I think you're bewitched by that woman outside. You might as well just move out and live there." "I'm not bewitched by the woman outside. Do you think I'm bewitched by her who weighs 200 pounds? I think you're more infatuated than anyone else. You change an old man every day." The mother and son were arguing fiercely with each other. Simon probably forgot that when he was pursuing me, I was also considered a beauty in my unit. Later, in the 3rd month after I gave birth, Simon accidentally became paralyzed. In order to take care of this family and him, I often had irregular meals. I often had my first meal of the day at 12 o'clock at night, which made my weight reach 200 pounds. Early in the morning, I called a locksmith to come and change the lock. After changing the lock, I asked my mother-in-law to enter her fingerprint. I collected all the cards and spare keys. Mom, from now on, you can just put your finger in and open the door. You don't have to be afraid of forgetting to bring the key anymore. What about the password? My mother-in-law asked this for Simon. Fingerprint is more convenient than password. We can set to fingerprints just right. One for you and one for me. Simon doesn't go out anyway. My mother-in-law wanted to ask more, but I directly went out. I caught a glimpse of Simon on the bed giving my mother-in-law a fierce glare. On the monitor, I heard Simon scold his mother angrily. Why is it so difficult to ask for the password? How can I get back without the password? Can't you come back earlier and wait for me to come home? If you hadn't lost the key, would it be like this now? Why are you going out to find that old man at your age? From now on, you stay at home every day and don't go anywhere. Simon's words directly angered my mother-in-law, and she slammed the door and left. Simon stood there, not knowing whether to leave or stay. After a while, the phone rang. Simon, why haven't you come yet? Weren't we supposed to take our son to see that private school today? Honey, I'm sorry. I was delayed by something. I'll come right away. I watched everything on the video, and there was no more emotional fluctuation in my heart. Simon played two roles. During the day, he was a servant to others. And at night, he came home and acted like a master to me. In the previous life, before the 7th day after my death, he couldn't wait to marry someone else. My mother-in-law recently had a new dance partner. Uncle. Uncle could be regarded as a handsome fighter among the old men. All the old ladies in the square were eager to get close to him, and no one could resist being fascinated by Uncle. But Uncle showed a special preference for my mother-in-law. He rejected countless old ladies and became my mother-in-law's exclusive dance partner. This also made my mother-in-law very proud. She was completely in a state of being in love and dressed up beautifully every day. As it was getting close to the time for me to go home, my mother-in-law was still fooling around outside. Simon was very anxious. He stood at the door and called his mother, but he couldn't get through. At this moment, Uncle was inviting my mother-in-law to watch a movie. The two of them were being affectionate in the cinema and wouldn't hear the phone. I received a call from Simon. Adea. I suddenly want to eat the roast chicken from that restaurant in the eastern suburbs. We live in the west, and it takes nearly an hour to go to the eastern suburbs and back. Okay. I'll buy it for you. Simon heaved a sigh of relief on the other end. Okay. Okay. I directly ordered the food online and paid extra for the delivery. I said I'd buy it for you, but I didn't say I'd go and buy it in person. When Simon received the takeout, he was stunned. Since I didn't go to buy it in person, it meant that I would be home soon. The phone rang. I had already entered the community. Simon, I'm about to get home. I ordered the roast chicken for you and it's been delivered. Why did you order takeout instead of going to buy it in person? I thought it would be a waste of time to go back and forth. The takeout is from the same restaurant. It's all the same. Simon's tone became urgent. What do you mean it's all the same? You go and buy it for me right now. Is it so difficult for a paralyzed person like me to eat something from outside? In his previous life, he often behaved like this, flying into a rage whenever his various unreasonable demands were not met. I'm afraid the place will be closed at this hour. And besides, I'm already downstairs. I'm not going to indulge you in this life. You're already downstairs? Yeah. Okay. Let's not talk about it. Simon in the video was so anxious that he kept pacing around. I walked upstairs step by step, and Simon kept calling me on my phone. Just as I stepped into the entrance of the apartment building, someone suddenly called out to me from behind. Hey. It was my son. Vince. Hey, was how he addressed me. My son grabbed my arm and commanded. I want to eat the barbecue on the next street. I looked at my son sideways and pinched his nose. You're just like your dad. Like him in what way? Both of you are gluttons. I smiled and looked at him. My gaze profound. Of course. You're both greedy. My son clearly looked resistant, but he still pretended to agree. Can you take me there quickly? Why are you back today? My son scratched his head and avoided my question. I sighed as I looked at my son's back. I've already given him a chance. My son usually lives on campus. To leave the school, he must have a parent's written request for leave. I didn't make one. So there was only Simon left who could have done it. When my son went to order the barbecue, I saw my mother-in-law hurry home on the surveillance camera. Looking radiant. Simon said angrily, "So you still know to come back? Do you know that I almost got discovered by her again? If this goes on, we'll be exposed sooner or later." My mother-in-law looked puzzled. "I think Ava has been acting a bit strange recently." "What do you think?" My heart tensed slightly. It seems that my mother-in-law is the smartest one among us. It seems that I need to get rid of this stumbling block in advance. What's so strange? I think you're the strangest one. Going out and having fun at your age. It's really troublesome living with you. Fortunately, hadn't fulfilled my. Simon is stupid enough. As soon as my mother-in-law heard this, she got angry immediately. "You're allowed to go out and have fun. But I'm not? I find it troublesome too. I'll buy a house and move out in a few days. You can do whatever you want." When Simon heard this, he frowned and looked at his mother. "What did you say? Buying a house? What are you make trouble for at your age? What kind of house are you buying? I'm getting old, and it's time for me to live for myself. If you think I'm a nuisance, then I'll move out." These days, I looked at a house with your uncle. It's a 2-bedroom apartment by the river. Costing 1 million yuan. Buying a house? Are you crazy? You're going to spend your own money at your age? So what if I'm old? It's precisely because I'm old that I want to pursue the life I want. It seems that my mother-in-law has watched a lot of those inspirational videos. Simon was so angry that he jumped up and down. "No. I don't agree. Sonny wants to send Mehdi to a private school, which costs 300 yuan a year. And the child will need money for marriage in the future." My mother-in-law snorted coldly. "You can't just enjoy a leisurely life at home. You have to go out and fool around. That Sonny is clearly not an easy person to deal with. How much money have you taken from me to give to her? You already have a son. And now you have another one. For all I know, that son might not even be yours. If I don't go out and have some fun, am I supposed to lie in bed and pretend to be paralyzed every day?" My mother-in-law simply refused. I said no. And that's final. I'm in control of the money. And I will never allow you to give that vixen any more money. Mom, don't forget that it was you who came up with the idea of me pretending to be paralyzed at home and having Ava take care of me. If you don't give me the money, I'll just tell her the truth. She'll be more than happy to see that I can stand up. With the way she is now, she won't divorce me. Will she? Then I'll play the card of upholding justice even at the cost of one's own kin, and say that you forced me to do it. You won't get a single cent from me in the future. My mother-in-law was so angry that she pointed at Simon with a trembling hand, clutching her chest. To be honest, the common characteristic of this mother and son is that they are both very selfish. Otherwise, how could they have come up with the idea of pretending to be paralyzed? The next day, it didn't affect my mother-in-law at all from going out early to meet Uncle. Uncle sent me the location in advance. I took a photo and sent it to my husband. Pretending to be flustered. "The toilet in the store is broken. So I went to the park to use the toilet. And guess what? I saw Mom there. Simon, we should think about Mom's old age. But it seems that Mom and that old man went to the real estate sales center." "The real estate sales center? Ava, you must stop Mom for me. No matter what method you use." Of course. I didn't try to stop her. I just pretended to be anxious and called Simon. "Simon, what should we do? Mom said she wants to put the house in Uncle's name." Simon in the surveillance camera didn't know whether to stand or sit. No matter what choice he made, it wasn't a good move. If he came to stop her in person and stood in front of me, I would find out that his legs were fine. If he didn't come, the house would be put in Uncle's name. At this moment, Simon was scratching his head and looking as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. However, I really underestimated Simon's viciousness. Half an hour later, a vehicle from a psychiatric hospital stopped at the entrance of the real estate sales center. This was a private hospital. Simon had already paid a year's worth of fees in advance. So the people from the hospital didn't care about anything and directly carried Simon's mother into the vehicle. According to what your son said, you have had serious symptoms of memory loss in the past month, and the frequency of forgetting things has increased. You have forgotten to turn off the gas and forgotten to bring your keys several times. We suspect that you have symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Your son has requested that we give you systematic treatment. I'm not sick. My mother-in-law became curious immediately. She pushed away anyone who came close to her. The doctors looked at each other. The patient is showing symptoms of mania. In addition, they directly took out a piece of evidence. This is the proof of your depression when you were young, provided by your son. In short, my mother-in-law was considered to have a mental illness. My mother-in-law's eyes widened visibly. Such things could only be known by the closest people. Even in my previous life, I didn't know anything about it. Brute. This little brute. He's trying to kill me. Letting them take me away so that he can make room for that vixen and her son. My mother-in-law suddenly looked in my direction. A glimmer of light in her eyes. Ava. My good daughter-in-law. You believe me. Mom is not sick. Mom is really not sick at all. It's all Simon's doing. He wants to kill Mom. He has someone outside. Mom. What are you talking about? How could Simon, who is paralyzed, cheat on me? I didn't believe her at all and pretended to push my mother-in-law. Mom, you should focus on getting treated. I'll come and visit you when I have time. The doctors behind her pounced on her like a ferocious flood. My mother-in-law was so anxious that tears were about to flow down. Ava. Simon is faking it. His legs are perfectly fine. Mom. What did you say? My mother-in-law stopped in her tracks and looked at me with tears in her eyes. Ava. Simon's legs are okay. He's been faking it all these years. I stared at my mother-in-law, wondering if she regretted her decision from back then. Then, without a moment's sigh, I slowly turned around and looked at the doctors, saying in a solemn tone, Doctor, my mother-in-law is seriously ill. I'm sorry to trouble you. This time, my mother-in-law completely broke down and kept wailing. But it was all in vain. I gave Uncle the money for his performance. Uncle snapped his fingers at me and told me to find him if there were any more good jobs like this in the future. Before leaving, he didn't forget to joke. If I really marry your mother-in-law, I'll have a house in my name. Aren't you going to give me a little more? I smiled. Uncle, hadn't Tasai. Do I need to remind you that you were once a blacklisted person because of gambling? Uncle's face changed. You? How do you know that? I know more than just that. I can make use of scoundrels. But I also need to be on guard against being truly pestered by them. Simon called me and asked why there were suddenly so many people gathered outside our house. There were people from the neighborhood committee and various media reporters. Of course. I deliberately leaked the news. When I rushed home, Vince was there too. I had only told him the password to our house. It seems that he came to save his father at the critical moment. As soon as I got close to the door, the reporters surrounded me. I heard that you've been taking care of your paralyzed husband for 20 years without a break. You've been holding up the family all by yourself? Can we report on your touching story? The aunt from the neighborhood committee also held my hand tightly. We didn't know that there was such a strong woman like you in our community. We'd decided to report your story and nominate you as the touching figure of the year in Lingjong City. All the reporters surrounded Simon. Excuse me. Regarding the fact that your wife has taken care of you for 20 years. What would you like to say? At this moment, Simon absolutely couldn't stand up in front of everyone. I'm very grateful to my wife. Without her, I'm afraid I would have passed away long ago. Simon cooperated very well and emotionally talked about the deep love between us in front of the media. I stood aside and smiled faintly, looking at his hypocritical face. I just wanted to tell him that in this life, I'll try to send you away as soon as possible. Our story caused a huge sensation on the internet once it was reported. The next day, our house was surrounded by all kinds of media and self-media people. They all set up their mobile phones. I don't know who started the activity of helping Ava take care of her husband virtually. Friends. Ava not only has to take care of the business in the store during the day but also has to go home and take care of her husband at night. To let her work with peace of mind during the day. Ava's husband has asked us netizens to take care of him virtually for her. Some people who were trying to gain popularity with their mobile phones would point their phones at Simon's face and take pictures as soon as our front door opened. Dozens of mobile phones surrounded Simon and filmed him from all angles 24 hours a day. In the gym, I was doing aerobic exercises while entering the live broadcast room. I watched as Simon had to lie in bed all day long, maintaining the same posture and not being able to move at all. His face showed extreme suffering, looking haggard and tormented. I laughed heartily, feeling extremely carefree and content. Don't you like pretending to be paralyzed? Don't you like being a fake invalid? This time, I'll let you pretend to your heart's content. Let you be paralyzed, enough. Netizens spontaneously cooked for Simon in our house. But it was obvious that Simon was getting rounder and rounder day by day on the camera. After a week, his face was as puffy as if it had been inflated. It was my doing. I had renovated the kitchen before, adding hormones to all the seasonings and mixing pig feed into the ingredients in the refrigerator. Now Simon was getting as fat as a sow. Among all the mobile phones, I also set up one and named it Ava Strives to Be Strong. There's no reason not to take advantage of Simon's popularity. Many people gave me live broadcast rewards and sent gifts in the live broadcast room. In the internet age, of course, I'm going to take this opportunity. On the other hand, some people couldn't sit still. Simon's phone kept ringing. Because there were so many people around, Simon didn't dare to answer. He hung up one call after another. You could tell how anxious the other person was. As time goes by, any popularity will fade. The number of people in my live broadcast room dropped from over 100, zero at the beginning, to only a few hundred. I know that this way the popularity will completely fade away in a while. Simon couldn't sit still first. If things went on like this, he really couldn't hold on any longer. Adiva, our life has to go on. Besides, it's not good for the child if we expose ourselves in front of the public like this. I didn't really see how it was bad for the child. Among all the live stream rooms, his son's was the liveliest, and he didn't turn a little from the live stream rewards. Recently, the teacher at school even told me that my son had been asking for leave frequently and didn't want to go to school at all. Approaching the college entrance examination, he was idle and good for nothing. But this was his fate. Within 2 days, I posted a video on my self-media account, thanking everyone for their support and now expressing my hope to return to a peaceful life. Netizens showed their support and understanding, and even started to criticize the self-media people at the door in return. The trend on the internet changed. People who gathered for profit naturally dispersed because of profit as well. Within 2 days, Simon started causing trouble again. Ava, you're busy in the store during the day, and we can't delay the store's business. Why don't we hire someone? Hire someone? I knew exactly what kind of trick Simon was playing. How could I not know? Sure enough, after I found several aunts to take care of Simon, he dismissed them all for various reasons. One of the ridiculous reasons was that an aunt looked like his mother. He said he didn't want to see his mother because it would make him sad. Until Sunny appeared in our house and said she wanted to apply for the job as a nanny. But in order to avoid suspicion, Simon also said to me in person, "How can I be alone in a room with her as a grown man? This won't work. Forget it. Forget it." At this moment, Sunny suddenly cried and said to me, "Sister, I have my difficulties. My husband in the countryside beats me, and I had to run away. I can't work in a public place, so I can only beg you to take me in." This move was definitely taught to her by Simon, because he knew better than anyone else my weakness of being soft-hearted. Back then, without a woe sorry, when Simon pretended to protect the child and was hit by a car and paralyzed. He also shed tears and told me that he would never drag me down in his life and asked me to remarry. At that time, seeing Simon, who seemed so affectionate and righteous, I resolutely decided to stay and take care of him. Naturally, I went along with their wishes. Sister, You can stay. Simon, who is paralyzed in bed, can't do anything to you. You'll be safe here. You just need to take good care of him. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Simon, and a hint of a triumphant smile appeared on his lips. But they didn't see the cunning in my eyes either. On the days when I wasn't at home, Simon and Sunny directly enjoyed a two-person world happily. The two of them were affectionate and sweet, and they staged some extremely intimate scenes that were not suitable for public viewing in front of the camera. I clearly filmed every frame, but I couldn't bear to look at it for every second. Sunny was snuggling up to Simon, who had been fed pig feed recently and had been fat and to almost 200 pounds. I don't know how she could stand a great nausea and still didn't forget to kiss Simon's fat. It's quite good like this now. That woman works outside to support the two of us. Such a life is really carefree. No wonder you can't bear to let it go. Simon looked proud. That stupid woman is just born to work hard. She's naturally meant to serve me. Just wait until you give birth to a son for me. And then let her take care of you during your confinement and raise your son for you. Naughty. Sunny said copiously. Simon pulled her into his arms. When we've earned enough money, I'll kick her out. 7. The dietitian came in and showed me today's price list. The exclusive hydrotherapy SPA costs 19.99 yuan. Shall we start now, Mata? I nodded. I'm a bit tired after the private fitness class just now. The money in Simon's card was still the savings from before. He still thought that all the money I worked hard to earn outside every day went into his pocket. He didn't know that after my mother-in-law was taken away, I had already replaced all the QR codes in the store with my own. Now every penny I earn belongs to me. Buy private fitness classes. Get a hydrotherapy massage. Dine at high-end restaurants. Wear jewelry. Women should learn to love themselves. The money spent on oneself is real money. The money spent on others is just like flowing water, leaving no trace. Using the excuse that it was convenient for her to take care of Simon at night, Sunny said, Sister, I'll stay by Simon's side on the small bed at night, so that you can also have a good rest. In fact, Sunny wanted to have an affair with Simon at night as well. In the middle of the night, I deliberately got up to go to the bathroom, and it scared Sunny so much that she hurriedly got back to her small bed from Simon's bed. The next day, Sunny even brought the child over and once again tried to win my sympathy, saying that the child wasn't well fed or warmly dressed at his grandmother's house. So she secretly brought him over. Simon waved his hand. Sunny takes good care of me on a daily basis. She has her difficulties, and I can't just watch her child suffer. Simon is right. It's just one more person to feed. It will be livelier with the child around. Sunny also started to want to enjoy the same treatment as Simon. When I got home in the middle of the night and Simon said he wanted to eat fried sauce noodles, I made the fried sauce noodles and brought them in. On the monitor, Sunny was holding the bowl and eating voraciously. Sunny used Simon's mouth to reveal all kinds of her demands, which meant that I was taking care of the two of them alone. Every night, Sunny thoughtfully brought me a glass of milk and told me that drinking milk could help with sleep. Simon laughed and said that Sunny had become fatter recently. Sunny didn't care. We're getting fat because of our happiness. But what about your fat pig wife? Why is she as thin as a monkey now? Who knows? Maybe she's tired? Or maybe she's got some illness? But it's just as well if she's ill. If she doesn't die, how can we be together properly? Sunny pushed Simon away. Don't hope for her to die. If she dies, who will make money and take care of us? Simon hugged Sunny. You can take care of me. You can run that rice noodle shop in the future. Forget it. I can't do such a tough job. Simon still couldn't see that Sunny was a woman who could only share the good times but not the bad. During the day, the family of 3 was in high spirits, and their son Mehdi kept calling Simon Dad. At this moment, my son kicked away a bench in the store and sat on the table like a lord, not caring at all that there were other customers in the store. He had picked up the bad habit of smoking from someone. Give me some money. I had raised him for nearly 20 years. But he didn't even call me mom once. I've transferred all my money to your dad. You'd better go and ask him for it. Vince snorted coldly. He won't give it to me. I don't know what's wrong with him. You're in the store every day. How can you not have any money? I only have the money for purchasing goods left here. My son came up and tried to grab my phone. He pushed me to the ground and transferred all the few hundred yuan in my other phone away. You'd better find some money for me. Otherwise, don't blame me if I go bad. I've warned you. He threatened me with himself. He was like this in the previous life as well. I was afraid countless times that he would go bad, so I really gave him all the money I had saved bit by bit. I met all his demands. In the end, what I got in return was that he played games at my funeral and said that I was unlucky and made him lose the game. I choked up. Son, having fulfilled my obsession, there's 30,000 yuan that mom has saved over the years in the cabinet at home. I really don't have any more money. My son directly turned around and went home. He usually didn't go home. So Simon at home didn't have any precautions at all. When my son Vince got home, he happened to run into the two people who were in disarray. Dad. Who is she? Are you having an affair with the nanny? Ate Simon's sons off Vince for the first time as well. When he heard someone calling Simon dad, he was naturally unhappy. He shot at Vince with a toy gun. Don't you dare call my dad. He's not your dad. He's my dad. You're a bad guy. I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you. Vince was completely stunned. He didn't expect that his father would have another son for him. He went up and threw the little boy's gun to the ground and smashed it to pieces. Simon's son rushed up to pull Vince, but he was pushed to the ground by Vince. Sunny was unhappy. She grabbed Vince and started scolding him. But she was also pushed to the ground by Vince, a big and strong young man. Simon saw that his mistress and son were knocked to the ground. Sunny, who was crying, showed off her pitiful look as a delicate wife. Simon and directly slapped Vince in the face. You brute. How dare you hit someone? Do you want to hit me too? You've gone too far. I won't give you a penny in the future. Great. Great. Not a penny for you. Not for you. Simon's little son jumped up and down. The fact that he wouldn't get any money drove Vince almost crazy. He couldn't bear it anymore. He kicked Simon's son away and then lifted him up high and threw him down. Simon's son's head tilted back, and he closed his eyes and passed out. Sunny cried out anxiously, but her son just wouldn't wake up. In the hospital, the doctor asked if the child had drunk anything containing ether or something similar. Sunny kept shaking her head. But the next sec and she suddenly remembered something. Her hands were almost trembling. Milk. That's right. She added ether to the milk that she kindly gave me every night, with the intention of knocking me out so that the two of them could do whatever they wanted. She didn't know that I put that glass of milk containing ether in the most prominent place on the table every day. In fact, her gluttonous son drank that milk containing ether every night. Mehdi. No wonder Mehdi has been sleeping so well recently. Sunny sobbed. And her eyes suddenly turned to me. It's Ava. This vicious woman. That milk was clearly for her. She must have wanted to kill my son. The doctor said that the child needed an urgent blood transfusion. The blood bank is in an emergency. The child has type AB blood. Do any of you have type AB blood? At this moment, Simon unraised his head would and lie and met Sunny's extremely terrified gaze. Simon rushed towards Sunny like he was crazy and pressed down on Sunny's shoulders. He has type AB blood? You and I both have type A blood? Tell me. Whose child is he? You've been raising this bastard for me? You made me wear a cuckold. Right? Sunny tried to push Simon away, but Simon grabbed her neck tightly. He's your child. In the corridor. I appeared in front of them. Simon raised his head and met my cold and indifferent eyes. He seemed not to recognize me. Ava. Mom? I had changed. During this period of time, I had been desperately losing weight, controlling my diet, and taking private fitness classes. They just thought that I was losing weight sharply because I was ill and didn't care about my changes at all. Now that I had put on makeup, changed my clothes, and worn jewelry, and stood in front of them with a new look, they didn't recognize me. Surprised, my son couldn't help but come up to me. Mom, why have you become so beautiful? This long-awaited call of mom came only after I changed my appearance. Didn't I deserve a call of mom from him before? Rather than just toiling away for the family, a woman should make herself look bright and beautiful. Simon became a house husband at home, washing his hands to cook meals, and making several calls every day waiting for me to come home. But I'm busy opening new branches and discussing chain store franchising every day. I took full control of the rice noodle shop at home. Wanderers away from home really like this kind of food. I launched an online express delivery service. Soon, a processing factory approached me and asked me to sell the products in bulk on the internet in a large scale. Unexpectedly, it opened up the online sales channel at once. Simon hasn't received a single cent since then. He doesn't dare to complain at all. I showed him all the videos of him at home personally, including the live sex video of his extramarital affair. There are also numerous pieces of evidence proving that he has been pretending to be paralyzed for 20 years. Each of these is enough to make him leave the family with nothing. It's of no benefit to him to fall out with me now. He still hopes that I will change my mind. But he is too naive. After all, we have been husband and wife for 20 years. After all, we still have a son. How can you have the heart to make our son grow up in a single-parent family? People's hearts are made of flesh. I will definitely change in the future. But I can't listen to these words anymore. You want me to change my mind, but I want your life. When Simon is bored at home every day, he eats all kinds of things to pass the time. He doesn't realize that his weight is still increasing, and he is getting fatter day by day. After all, I haven't cleared out all the pig feed hidden in the kitchen. In the hospital, Sunny's son was critically ill and asked Simon for money several times. But Simon ignored him. Until her son died in the hospital, Sunny sued my son Vince, accusing him of intentional homicide. My son came to beg me to find a lawyer for him. He knelt in front of me, crying bitterly. "Mom, I'm your only son. You can't just watch me die. You can't leave me alone. Can you? But I have tried to discipline you. And you didn't listen. Now that I finally don't want to care about you, why are you still unwilling to accept it?" He went to the internet CIF instead of studying. When I went to the internet CIF to find him, he smashed the keyboard on my face in front of everyone. He lay at home playing mobile games. And when I snatched his phone away, he punched and kicked me. It seems that he has forgotten all these things. At my funeral in my previous life, the son who didn't shed a single tear didn't kneel before me out of repentance, but out of fear. From the 10 months of pregnancy, when he was crying for food, to the 18 years of raising him, he has no gratitude towards me at all. He is naturally cold and indifferent. The son I couldn't discipline will surely be disciplined by society and the country instead of me. Your father still has 200 yuan, which is enough to hire a lawyer for you. In the previous life, when Simon had money, our son was close to Simon. In this life, since I have money, our son is close to me. I handed the surveillance video to my son. In the surveillance video, Sonny appeared at my home. If you want your son to get a lighter sentence, I can issue a letter of understanding. But I want 200 yuan. 200 yuan? You might as well ask for my life. Do you think I'll give you 200 yuan for that little brat? You're daydreaming. You've picked the wrong person to extort. Is that little brat even worthy of my money? My son Vince's hands were shaking. When he was about to go out, he grabbed the knife on the chopping board in my shop. The shop was crowded with customers, and I was busy taking care of the business. Later, the police told me that my house had been burned down. Vince, holding a knife, was provoked by Sunny. Sunny threatened and that Vince had killed her son and that she would make Vince spend his whole life in prison. These words directly provoked Vince to stab the knife into Sunny's stomach. Like a madman, Vince ran towards Simon with the knife, but Simon dodged. When Simon tried to run out of the door, he found that his fat body was stuck at the bedroom door and he couldn't move. Sunny tried to crawl off from the ground, but was pulled back by Vince. Then Vince set the house on fire. When the firefighters from 119 arrived, both of them had already turned to ashes. Vince was taken away by the police. And the law will punish him. My rice noodle shop has successively opened and franchised stores in several urban areas. And the business is booming. My monthly income has already exceeded 300 yuan. My marriage with Simon was dissolved, so I naturally have no obligation to support his mother anymore. The fees for the psychiatric hospital were also cut off. As for what to do with her, that's their own business. I founded an online kitchen. The clean ingredients can be traced directly to their sources, and every process is completed under the online supervision of netizens. People nowadays prefer healthy and clean food that they can eat with peace of mind. And I became a hands-off boss. Traveling around. In this life, I will experience all the scenery I didn't see, and the life I didn't enjoy in my previous life all over again.